This is Impact with Don Wenner.
David, welcome here to Impact. Super excited to have you on our show here today.
Don, I'll tell you, it's a pleasure to be here. It was snowing in Detroit a couple days ago. It's going to be 30 degrees here. I'm excited about Detroit.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm talking to you from slightly warmer St. Augustine, Florida, from a guest suite at my house here today, as I got a busy day with the new baby we just adopted. Here at my home, lots of activities going on. So part of my background, not nearly as impressive as that incredible office there in Detroit that you're streaming in from, and super excited to have you with us today. With all that behind you there, I'm sure there's people immediately who are watching, if they're not just here on audio, wondering a little bit about your background. So let's kick off. I'd love just to give the audience the Reader's Digest version of your incredible story that brought you to where you are here today.
Well, again, it's an honor to be with you this morning. Mine is a wonderful. I've been incredibly lucky. I grew up in Detroit in the time of real dominance in the automobile industry. Detroit kind of led the world. We still believe we're the center of automotive excellence, although we have a lot more competitors. We're I kind of the typical, I think, middle class upbringing. My father became an Oldsmobile dealer in the 50s, and I was able to go to work for him after college. And then in 1978, I purchased the Oldsmobile dealership from my father. And my standing line when I do new employee meetings is who knew or who knows what an Oldsmobile is. Depending on the age of the hire, I get blank stares to, oh yeah, I had a Cutlass. So what I thought I knew was that I had to grow and change that business for a lot of reasons. We didn't have trucks. We didn't have minivans. We didn't have this or that, but we had a fabulous clientele. So literally from 1979 on, I tried to add or change the business as I saw it. This last April, we sold a big part of our business to Lithia, which is a public company out of Medford, Oregon. We sold about 33 dealerships, 50 facilities, 33 different brands. Ford's a brand, Chevy's a brand. And we sold when, at the end of our term, we had from Subaru to Rolls-Royce. In Detroit, the biggest stores we had were Ford, Chrysler, and Cadillac. But it was a wonderful run, really enjoyed the business. We kept about 20% of our business that we are a tier one supplier to General Motors and Ford and Chrysler. We kept those businesses. They were not automotive retail. But throughout our entire career, and then when we were able to bring people on board that helped us grow and change the nature of the business. So it was a great run, and we're still in it. We actually still have one automotive retail facility in Costa Mesa, California that we kept.
Wow. So at the peak before you sold a large part of your business, and today, how many team members or employees do you have?
Last March 1st, a year ago, March 1st, we had about 3,700 team members. We'll probably do business in 13, 14 states. And today, with the keeping the supplier businesses, we're at about 700.
Wow. So as somebody who's employed 3,700 employees or team members and still 700 plus team members today, tell us what are your thoughts about today's job market and the future of of the job market here in the United States?
I think the job market is, it's such an opportunity today for workers. Um, I have often tried to give counsel to people, younger kids. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want to live your life? And one of the things I say to them is be proactive, plan your future. Well, if you planned your future and you're in this job market, you have huge opportunity today. There's skill sets that are changing. There's new ones coming. In our industry, we're kind of going from an ICE vehicle, which is internal combustion engines, towards new technologies. Right now, it's battery. It's going to be electric. It's going to be hydrogen. There's an amazing change in our industry. We're going to autonomous driving. Those skill sets are kind of within the hands-on, the guys that like to work with their hands, that do things. There's real opportunity for workers, and there's real demand. You go in a restaurant today, you kind of see that there's a lot of people that have decided to change occupations. So I'm really quite optimistic.
So unpack that slightly more. So you hit on some of the amazing innovation that's coming in the automotive industry, and obviously the automotive industry is one of the largest industries in the world. So what are the skills, if you were somebody wanted to go into the automotive industry today, what are the skills that you'd recommend? What's the opportunity for employment you see 5, 10, 20 years down the road in the automotive industry?
Well, I think it actually even transcends the automobile business. We are seeing a real demand for people that want to be able to work with their hands and their heads. They can work with computers. They can do manual work. I don't know if you've called a plumber lately, or but none of these people, to me, are seemingly underpaid. They have great opportunity and skill sets. If you have, you have to have good skills. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to comprehend. School is very important. But when I went to school, I learned a little bit about wood shop. I learned a little bit about, how do you work with your hands as well? How do you work with your head? And I think those skills are today more important than ever. Electric vehicles, electric motors, they're going to be easier, cleaner to work on, but that battery technology and the recycling of batteries, there's whole new industries coming. When you think of autonomous driving, those cars need to be repaired, they need to be worked on, they need to be housed. There's whole new industries coming in within the automobile industry.
I love it. So to your point, there's a lot of great opportunities for those who prepare and who have a desire to be successful. I'll just summarize as today, a lot of opportunities, a lot of things that come from innovation and automation. So if we switch sides to the other side of the table, to the employer side, it's maybe never been a more competitive environment to hire great people because they're in so much demand. So tell me how have you been so successful in growing a company to 3,700 employees? What are the keys in this job environment to attracting, keeping, retaining the very best people?
I think it always goes back to the people we get to work with and the respect for those people. I believe that we have real opportunity to take care of the people that we work with. We have this expression that's always about the people. And if we take care of the folks that choose to come to work with us, we will get to work together for a very long time. We've had countless employees that have spent decades with us. Not everybody, sometimes it isn't always a perfect mix, or they think grass might be a little bit greener somewhere. But if you work and you take care of people and your goal is long-term partnership, I think it's still very doable.
Awesome. So in the midst of growing this, what started as, I think, a single automobile dealership up to 50 locations and 34 brands, I believe you said, while growing this distribution business, you still run to this day. As if you weren't busy enough, you took on a role as ambassador to Morocco during the Trump administration. And that's pretty interesting. To have that desire to do so and to take on that responsibility in the midst of running your organization. So tell us a little bit, why did you take on that appointment, and tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, I think as many of the folks in your audience, we all are so blessed and we get to do so many things. One of the things that we've always believed in our company was active in our community. We supported a lot of efforts over the years. I've been on a variety of commissions. I've served as a university chairman. Always felt we should be active and participating in the community, and our family and many of our employees have done the same thing. From food drives to blood drives to, as my son puts it, we need to help fix issues, not just participate in them, but help fix them.
Yep.
And so as part of that, we've been active in political parties for a long time. And I was truly honored when the president asked if I would be willing to serve, as an ambassador. And, the way they ask you is, if we ask, would you be willing? And after consultation with my wife, Jennifer, it seemed like a really good idea. So while the approval process is interesting, quite frankly, the ability, the willingness was there, but the pride of serving our country, I had no, I knew I was going to enjoy this. We worked hard to get ready. And then when you go and you represent the United States of America to America's oldest ally, it goes back to 1777, the Barbary Coast Pirates. This is our oldest continual ally. And when you upon entering the country, I had the privilege of meeting the foreign minister the first day, the king. It's a population of 38 million people and the gateway to Africa. You literally go, this is real honor, this is real work. It was something that will stay with Jennifer and I for the rest of our lives.
So what would you say in your time of service there? What was the most impactful accomplishment you have, and what was the most impactful experience to you from that experience?
Well, I think the most impactful event that occurred when we were able to help bring Morocco into the Abraham Accords, full recognition of Israel, and what this is all about is peace in the Middle East. And when you say that, you go, oh my God, that's such a big statement. But when you talk to each other, when you have open and honest communication between countries, that perhaps, I think if you think to the UAE or Bahrain, who are also in the also in the Abraham Accords, the communication wasn't always there. When you can speak to people about mutual issues, you can bring peace forward. And while we still believe in a two-state solution, there's a lot of people that are working with Israel and Palestine to bring peace to this region. And we can say that we're a big part of helping Morocco get there.
Awesome. So I imagine with on the heels of those comments, there were a lot of challenges in that process, and a lot of challenges in that region, in that country. What was the most challenging part of that experience of your experience there altogether, or adding him to the Abraham Accord? What was the most challenging component?
I think the thing that was probably the most challenging was getting everyone from the United States Senate and people culturally in Morocco that may not have thought they were ready for this. And it was trips back and forth. It was hard work by the president, Jared Kushner. Jared worked very hard bringing this forward. And he and Avi Berkowitz, who works with Jared, there were a number of us that spent a lot of time trying to lay the groundwork to get this done. And then, of course, when it happens, it literally was met with wonderful recognition. It was truly, I think it will go down in my life as one of the most important things that I've ever been part of.
Awesome. So I'm far from an expert in Morocco. So I can make assumptions based on what you hear in the news, but tell me, how would you evaluate or how would you compare the level of happiness in the country of Morocco? How would you think about that?
Well, I think happiness is there's a lot of things that we look at in the United States. There's a lot of the blessings that we have in this country that the world may not share. And certainly when you think of COVID and all the issues that have been experienced, Morocco is a peaceful, wonderful nation. There's about, as I say, 38 million inhabitants. We think of it as the gateway to Africa, and they go from the Atlantic to the mountains, to the Atlas Mountains. So you think it's a big country, a lot of diverse language and tribes, and the people all support the king. They are probably our best friends in Africa. So the climate is good. They are. How do I want to say this tactfully? The women's rights are country and continent leading in Morocco. So a lot of women farmers, a lot of women business owners. It was truly an honor to work in this environment.
Awesome. That's really, really great to hear. So, compared to the United States, obviously goes without saying, much lower resources, lower quality of living. Yet here in the United States, which, I think around the world is thought to be, the greatest country on earth, something I certainly believe in. Obviously, we have the greatest wealth, incredible knowledge and resources and opportunity and freedoms. Yet there's lots of studies today saying that we have the greatest level of unhappiness in American history. We don't rank within the top 10, I think even 15 countries in the world in terms of the happiest people. And that's one of the biggest areas of crisis that we're focused on here at DLP and impacting this happiness crisis. And I love having had this unique exposure of living and being a part of a country with really limited means in comparison. How do you see, and what perspective do you have on why we have such a high level of unhappiness and even depression here in the United States today?
I think it's a country we are blessed. Our abundance allows us to think beyond what many people take as their daily struggle. In many countries of the world, Morocco and some parts of Morocco, this is certainly true. The struggle is, how do I feed my family today? And certainly through COVID, that was very true. Although the Minister of Agriculture, Aziz Aga Kanoush, absolutely kept the food rolling through the country during the pandemic, and is truly to be congratulated for that. In this country, we have an abundance of many things. And perhaps some of that leads us to say, gee, do we want more? Do we have too much? I kind of believe we need to be thankful, respectful. We need to understand why we should have gratitude in our hearts. And we should work towards helping people solve their issues if they have doubt. But I think we have, in many cases, an abundance that allows us to think of other things.
I love that. Yeah. So that abundance and the fact that we're not fighting for our basic survival, every day gives us that freedom, to think and see opportunities as well as some of the struggles that we wouldn't otherwise be aware of if we were more focused on what's the Maslow's law of hierarchy, right? So that's an interesting way to look at it. I know kind of switch gears, but to connect, one of the parts of your story you talked about was taking going to college and then entering the family business, and then in turn ultimately taking over the dealership, acquiring it from dad, and growing it into a pretty amazing empire. I believe family businesses can be a really incredible component of job creation, can be a really incredible component of happiness that in a lot of families. That ability to work together can also be quite challenging. And I'd love just to get your perspective. I don't yet know if your family has continued to work in the business with you over the years. I'd love just to get your take on the experience of working in your father's business, taking over and running a family business over decades, and love your perspectives on that experience.
Well, there's a number of perspectives that you can have about family business. There's the continuation. Our business was formed in 1948 by my father and his brother. In 1960, they split the business into two, and my uncle took his and my father took his. As I said, in 1978, I got to buy my father out. And that was a source of great pride, both to me and to him. And he moved to Florida, opened another business, and he, as you, wanted to be warmer. I kind of thought Detroit is where I'd like to stay with my family. The opportunity to grow that business is one of the great American stories. In this country, there's so many stories like ours that have become giant businesses, much larger than ours. And to work with your family to grow a business, to bring employment to neighborhoods and to cities, and to get to do it in such a way to share it with others. Perhaps had it not been for COVID, we would have hit, our sales numbers were great, but they could always be better. The employment numbers seem to be struggling over the word employment today. Were wonderful. We really enjoyed working with all these folks. It's something that I will look back on almost as fondly as anything I've ever done. The environment and the climate to grow a business in the United States during this time period, and I believe, and going forward, it will be as good or better, is truly one of the blessings of the United States.
I agree. It's an incredible opportunity. So you've lived what many would call the American dream. We're able to start and grow an entrepreneurial business. You've achieved incredible success. You built incredible wealth. You've had great experiences.
It was all. I prefer to think about it. It's all about our people.
Yep.
And the lives we've changed, the things we get to do. I never think of it about me. I never think about it in any other view that we were able to take the American opportunity and work within it. Our banking system, our law system, everything is set to grow and to help people succeed. And that is such a privilege in our country. Not all countries have that.
Yeah, well said. And the way I think about it is similar to you. I've by most people's standard been able to live this American dream. And I say very similar to you, with utmost humble confidence that it's not that I'm so great. It's that I grew up in an incredible time here, an environment, this knowledge age. I live in the greatest country on earth. I was blessed by the Lord with a number of gifts, and with those gifts and those blessings comes great responsibility. And it's been an incredible opportunity and blessing to impact a lot of lives and grow a business in this great country. And now that you've done that and you've accomplished that, and you've had a big exit, and you've done so many amazing things, helped so many people, as you look out on this, next phase of your life, and you think about, the term that the great Lloyd Reeb, who runs an organization called Halftime Institute, who spoke to at our last event here recently, likes to say, in his book he wrote, going from success to significance. And he talks a lot in that process of once you achieve a certain amount of success, how do you generate significance in your life? How do you live and leave a legacy? And so as you think about this next chapter in your journey, and now with the relationships and knowledge and skills that you've built over your career, what's next for you? How are you going to leave the biggest impact? Obviously, your experience here with Morocco is a great one. But what do you see as the greatest opportunity for you and others in similar situations to you to be able to do here over the 10, 20 years ahead?
Well, at 75, I'd like to hear at least 20.
Yeah. 30 years ahead.
30 years. I'll take 25 now, but sure, 20 years from now, I'd want 30. The opportunity to help our grandchildren, to help others around us is preeminent. My wife Jennifer and I have been asked to be committee members of the Abraham Accords Peace Institute. So we're participating in that. We were back in the Middle East in July. We're supposed to go again before the end of the year, which would take us to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and probably Morocco. This summer we're in Bahrain as well. And the opportunity to help bring peace to that area is when you go and you talk to the people and you see what can happen, the willingness to bring Israel and the UAE, bring technology, investment, perhaps with the help of Morocco, and to bring peace to that area. I can think of nothing more important that we'd want to try to be part of. As I say, then it's helping folks around here, helping our family accomplish what they like to accomplish. And God knows I'm not a good golfer, so I have to find other things to do.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. Well, awesome. You've had an incredible journey and story, and it was such a blessing to get to hear some of it here today and some of your perspectives on this journey. Knowing that this podcast here is called Impact, and we've got thousands of listeners here who focuses on figuring out a way they can make the biggest impact. Can you leave us here today, David, with a kind of final note or thought on how we can all, or how those listening here can capitalize on the opportunity in front of us to make the biggest impact?
I think, as I would say to young kids beginning their journey, it's you have to be in charge of your life. You have to direct your efforts and be proactive about what you're thinking about, what you're doing, and how you will impact the people around you. And as long as you're mindful of all that and you have a goal in mind, without a goal and without a plan, things just happen. But if you have a plan on where you want to go, what you want to do, how you'd like to get there, this wonderful country of ours is here to help. And certainly with what's going on right now, to bring people together, to be able to talk, to be able to bring disparate ideas and bring them, and move forward with them, I think is the opportunity. The one thing I want to mention that I don't know that I emphasized enough, the opportunity to serve our nation was truly an honor. And I will remember, Jennifer and I will remember the rest of our lives. Do not be afraid of public service. We need people. We need people. We need people that will learn to get along and to lead us forward in harmony and do the difficult things that need to be done.
Awesome. Well, that's a great message, a great call to action to conclude us here on this episode. Thank you, David. Again, David Fischer here. Incredible story. David, leave us with, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, figure out how they can learn from your lesson on how to get involved and do public service. Or let's say we've got somebody who could use a few million parts for their automotive dealerships. How does somebody get in touch with you?
Well, you've got that information. We're easy to find. I look forward though to hearing from your people, your listeners. But literally, when you move forward with what's going to happen in this country in the next few years, we are abundant with opportunity.
Well said. Love the optimism. Agree completely. Thank you, David, very much. Pleasure having you here today.
Don, have a great day. I look forward to visiting.
This has been Don Wenner on the Impact Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. You can check out our other episodes by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube, or check us out online by going to impactwithdon.com. I encourage and challenge you to make an impact.